How to prevent your YouTube channel from being hacked. Hey everybody, Jace Allen here. Welcome back to the channel. So if you follow other guitar YouTube channels, you probably know that the channel Scar My Guitar was hacked on Sunday and the channel was completely deleted. The owners of the channel, Sean and Kathy, this is their livelihood, this is their business. They've turned their business into a YouTube channel, and they do Scar My Guitar and Scar My Pickups. They wind their own pickups, they build guitars, they modify guitars, repair guitars, and they talk about guitars on their channel. So losing their channel is basically losing their business. And that's the thing about being hacked on YouTube, is that the stakes can be pretty high for someone that has a huge subscriber base and that, you know, basically derives their income from their YouTube channel. So their channel was back up in a matter of days, but it illustrates just how vulnerable YouTube channels can be to being hacked. In fact, if you do a YouTube search for YouTube channel hacked, you'll find hundreds of channels that have been hacked, deleted, and then reinstated, and then the owner of that channel has created a video documenting their ordeal. So how does this happen, and what can you do to prevent it? So first, let me give you a little bit of background information about myself. My wife and I have been running our own business for the past 12 years. It's a sign and graphics business. But before that, I was an IT guy. I did IT for a local manufacturer for 9 years. I started with the company as a graphic designer. I did product literature for them and documentation and things like that. And then the person that was running their IT department got another job and was getting ready to leave. And so because I have quite a background in computers, I've pretty much used computers my entire life. I'm kind of a computer nerd. I applied for the job and I got the job. So I became their IT guy. And it was a small enough company that I was the only, the IT department was one person, and that was me. And so I went back to school. I already had an associate's degree in journalism, so I went back to school. The company had a tuition reimbursement program. I went back to school, got my bachelor's degree in computer information systems. So yes, I have a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, and I'm self-employed sign maker, and I do YouTube videos on the side. So I wouldn't say I'm the world's foremost expert on IT and computers and hacking, but I spent 9 years supporting computers and building networks and doing things like that. And so I have quite a bit of knowledge on the subject. So how does this happen? How do people get hacked? Well, there's different ways that hackers can infiltrate your computer. They can put what's called a keylogger on your computer that logs all the keystrokes that you make, and then they can get passwords and things like that. And then they have access to all your online accounts. But usually a keylogger is something that has to be installed on the computer as like a USB dongle, or it has to be an application that's running on the computer. And that's where hackers use what we call social engineering to get people to install or run applications on their computer that we call executables, that, you know, run the code, run the program that actually either logs the keystrokes and sends it back to the hacker, or somehow infiltrates your computer and allows them to have access to it. You know, sometimes that means shutting the computer down. You've probably heard of ransomware, and that's where the executable basically freezes your computer. You can't do anything with your computer network. I mean, basically shutting you down until you give the hacker money, and then they release the freeze on your computer. And that's why they call it ransomware, because they're holding your computer for ransom. And then another way, like I said, is that they will log your keystrokes, and then they can get into your accounts. And so this latest hack is basically there's a thing called browser session. There's like a session. I don't know if there's session cookies or whatever, but there's session information on your browser. When you log into Facebook or YouTube and then you shut your computer down, or you close your browser or whatever, and then you open your browser up later and you go back into Facebook or YouTube or whatever program you're going into, it logs you right in. It doesn't. And if you've seen the little box that you can check sometimes when you log into certain accounts called Remember Me, well, that's what it's doing. It's creating that session, and so that way you don't have to continually log in every single time. And YouTube is that way. I mean, I don't ever log into YouTube. I'm already on YouTube. So like same with Chrome. When I open up my browser, I use Chrome browser, I'm already logged in. Everything's there. And so that's what they're doing. They're running this executable that takes all this session information from your browser and somehow sends it through the internet back to the hacker, and then they pull it up on their computer, and so it's like they have your browser session on their computer, and so they're automatically logged into whatever you're logged into. That's why things like bank accounts and things like that, they have sort of a timeout. If you'll notice that when you log into your bank account, it times you out after a certain amount of inactivity or a certain amount of time. And if you log out of your bank and then go to log back in, it makes you log in again. So there's certain, websites that are way more secure that don't allow you to stay logged in. And then a lot of times people will talk about two-factor authentication. Well, we have two-factor authentication, so we're safe. Well, the problem with this session hijacking is that the hacker essentially becomes you at that point. They're logged into your stuff, so there's no attempts to log in. There's nothing that says that they're not you logged in to your session. So the two-factor authentication doesn't really help. Two-factor authentication sort of helps if somebody sort of reverse engineers your password and they kind of figure it out, or they figure out your username and password, and so they log in, and they're logging in from Timbuktu or something, and so all of a sudden your browser will go, hey, we don't recognize this browser, we don't recognize this computer, this location, and so then it triggers that secondary authentication. But basically, it's like they've taken your browser session and sort of used that as a way in. So that's why the two-factor authentication fails. So how does this hack work? Well, it relies heavily on what we call social engineering, and that's to sort of get you to believe in something, like that they're from a company, or that they're from your bank, or they're from whatever, to get you to click on a certain thing to activate their hack. And so specifically to the YouTube community, what is happening is the hackers are sending out an email that looks like a legitimate email from a company that says, hey, we're from company XYZ. We know you're a YouTuber and that you review stuff, or that you use certain products as a YouTuber, and so we want to strike up a sponsorship with you, and so that we'll send you a free camera or whatever, and in return you do a review, and then you keep the camera, or we'll pay you, or whatever, however the sponsorship works. So YouTubers are used to getting those types of emails. They're used to getting contracts in PDF form that say, hey, this is all the legal stuff, and what you're required to do, and what we're going to do for you. And so the hackers have sort of used that against the YouTubers by basically posing as, a company that wants to do business with them. And many times it's a big company that seems legitimate or seems really attractive, like, you know, whatever company you might want to work with. And what they do is they send you a file that looks like a PDF file, but it's really a screensaver file, because screensavers are an executable file, because the hackers have sort of gotten, you know, people have gotten used to not clicking on what they call a .exe file in the Windows world. But the .exe file is something that we're kind of conditioned not to click on if it's from a strange place. But the screensaver file is I think it's a .scr or screensaver, SCR maybe. And it's an executable file, but it doesn't have that .exe behind it. And so I'll show you what the hackers do to sort of mask the file name and what you should be doing on your computer to sort of prevent you from not noticing these things and then inadvertently clicking on them. So the reason I'm making this video is you know, everybody and their brother was talking about Scar My Guitar this week, and I wasn't going to do a video about it because it's kind of been covered. But I got an email. I got an email this morning from somebody claiming to be from Logitech that wants to do a sponsorship with me. And so I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to share some information with you and to show you what to look for and avoid being hacked. Okay, so let's go into my email real quick. So here it is. This is the email. It says Logitech. It says sponsorship request. So if you click on this email, first of all, here's the things that you need to notice. You need to look at these things when you're in your email. You'll notice this is Logitech, and it shows the email address for, you know, this person. And it says 935 Chronolysonix Seznam.cz. First of all, that's a huge red flag, because it's like, why wouldn't that be at Logitech.com or Logitech.biz or something like that? And then if you Google .cz, I mean, I already knew what it was, but if you Google .cz, you know, extension, you'll know that it comes from the Czech Republic. And the Czech Republic is near Russia, and the Czech Republic is often a target of Russian hacking. And so I would have to assume that, you know, that this is maybe going through the Czech Republic, almost like a VPN or something like that, where they're funneling their emails and their, you know, their attacks through a gateway in the Czech Republic to make it look like it's coming from the Czech Republic and not from Russia. So that's the first red flag. So then I mean, this is the laziest social engineering email that I've ever seen. It just says, hello, Logitech team, would love to explore a partnership with you. We'd love to discuss a potential deal that brings value to both. If you're interested, we'd love to connect to explore possibilities, hoping to hear from you. And it doesn't contain an attachment or anything, because this is a phishing expedition. They're trying to find, you know, they're trying to get people to reply to that email, because then they know they can kind of, you know, they don't want to come out, you know, very aggressively. They want to sort of sneak in a little bit and try to gain your trust. But if you look, here's a legitimate email. This is from Vangoa. If you look at it, it says review@vangoa.com, and it's a .com. It's not .net or you know, whatever. Most you know, companies are going to have a .com or a .co.uk if they come from the UK. And they introduce themselves, and they basically tell you the product that they want you to review, and they sign off with their name. They got their, you know, this is just a generic email address, but they say, hey, I'm Nancy from Vangoa. Best regards, Nancy. So, I mean, it's more of a legitimate email. So if the Logitech email was more like this, then it might be a little easier for them to, you know, them to kind of fool you. So then let's talk about this other thing here. If you, okay, so here's a Tees guitar. I'm working with Tees guitars, and they sent a PDF. So here's a PDF file, okay? So you can download it. And it opens it up. That's another thing. With some browsers will open PDFs automatically. That's probably something I should change on here, and something you might want to consider changing as well. But if you go to your, you know, your computer to save it, you'll notice that it says .pdf. Well, what the hackers do is they name something I think it's screensaver, SVR, or something like that. So it'll be .pdf .svr, and what they're hoping is that you'll have your file extensions turned off. So if you go into File Explorer in Windows and you go to View, you can see file name extensions or hidden items. And these are usually by default unchecked. So that when you see here's a PDF, it doesn't have the file extension on it. So that could be named, and what they'll do is they'll replace the icon too with the PDF logo. So it looks like a PDF. So you want to make sure that when you're in File Explorer, this is Windows 10 by the way, and you go to File Explorer and you go to View, and you want to make sure file name extensions is on, and you probably want to open, you know, check hidden files too, so that you can see everything that's on your computer. And see, this shows you the dot extension, PDF, SVG, you know, whatever it is, MP3, MP4. That's very, very important. And so that's basically it. So anyway, it's pretty simple. It's not like, you know, you have to do something on your end. And what the hackers are doing is they're exploiting YouTubers. You know, I'm sure some of these YouTubers with millions of subscribers get a dozen sponsorship requests every week. And so they probably are so used to clicking on these things and opening in them that they just didn't think about it. And so hopefully this will sort of raise a little bit of awareness about hacking and what you can do to prevent it. Those are really simple ways to protect yourself from being hacked, because they're basically relying on, you know, us not being on the ball and not being aware of what's going on. But usually, you know, like this email from Logitech, I mean, that's pretty suspect. I mean, like I said, that's pretty lazy. That's a real lazy attempt at an exploit. So anyway, I just wanted to do a video about this real quickly to kind of get the word out there and show you just some basic information about how you can avoid being hacked. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.